Of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
I got some new stuff.
I saw that. What do you have?
Well, I went to Lucky Lure after the show.
Well, local tackle store here in Oklahoma City.
Because they've been selling a lot of BFEs at Big Bite, and I haven't gotten any of the other colors, and I've only seen the black and blue and the hematoma, or the black-blue fleck. So I went to Lucky Lure and I bought, because we talked about it on yesterday's show, actually purchased, they're only $4.39 a pack.
You bought them?
I bought a pack of the BTL colors in the BFE.
Did they have a lot of them?
Yeah, they had a fair amount, but they were right up front and center. There it is. It's actually cool to see it in person. I'm a fan of that color. And then I also got, remember we did the contest. That's the first time you've seen it too.
Yeah.
I also got the Bedlam color, which is the orange on the one side and the red on the other. So I went in there.
That's good too.
I went in there for $8 worth of stuff, 2 packs of BFEs, right? I walked out of there.
Can I keep these?
No. Those are the only packs I've got, Mark.
Okay.
They're supposed to be sending me some more for the Rayburn
right.
Open. And I'm a buzzbait fanatic.
Yes, you are.
And there's a lot of stuff going on in the fall where a buzzbait might play. So I go in there. We had James Watson on a while ago, right? The worldwide HD buzzer. So I got that one.
All right.
Here. Well, this is
really loud.
That sounds pretty good.
It's pretty loud.
And then, as any good tackle store owner would do, as I'm checking out, he's like, well, dude, we just got the...
It was that Billy?
Yeah, we just got the Jamaican boas in, which is the Mega Bass one, the new Mega Bass one. And they had an old school one called Ito's Tune. I got it down in Lake Fork, and I've actually asked like Mega Bass guys, and they're like, yeah, we don't even know anything about that. But I really like that one. It's the only one I've got of that.
Yeah.
So I'm 1 for 1 on that, but I got this one, and it's got the little ball on it. You ready for this one? Oh, wait. No.
Ooh.
It sounds good.
That's really loud,
So
too.
anyway, I walked out with two new buzzbaits in addition, so I'm super pumped to try those out.
Very cool. All right, good show today. We're going to have Austin Felix on to talk a little bit about his season, his career, and then also the show that we had yesterday with Randy Blockett. A lot of good feedback, both for and against, but some very intelligent premises and comments on the show yesterday from the whole electronic situation. So
this is kind of continuation, part 2, the flip side to the coin, for lack of a better term. Austin actually had some, and it was a good, intelligent conversation that they had on Randy's Facebook page about the progression of technology in the sport of, you would have to use this in the sport of professional bass fishing.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Austin. He came up through the ranks, University of Minnesota, Tour, Bassmaster Elite Series now, having a great season again, catching a lot of fish, using his electronics. So we'll have him on.
Yeah. All right.
And then you got an extra guest, too.
Yeah, we're going to have Ron Nelson on just for a few minutes. Today is his day off at Sturgeon Bay. Had an okay day yesterday, sitting in 12th place. with 2411. So we'll get him on for a few minutes and get his take on what's going on up at Sturgeon Bay.
For the FLW title.
Correct.
Day one in the books, 25 fish each day. Then they cut it. Then the weight's 0. It's MLF format. But it's at the same place where we saw Justin Lucas dominate. Did you watch any of it?
A little bit. Yeah,
Kurt Mitchell.
Yeah, 100 pounds.
119.
Almost 120.
Did you see how he was doing it, though?
Yeah.
Totally different than we saw anything else. So, anyway, good stuff.
He was the one that pretty much was dialed in the whole day, though.
Very dialed in. Gray Buck. I got to get to this before we move on because I'll forget it. So, Gray Buck, one of your favorite anglers, really kind of I guess his stock is rising. Would you not agree, Jeffries?
Yeah, I said that when I mentioned his name and we had him on the show.
Yeah, and I like to go back and I do the stats to see is there a viable reason why his stock is rising? Is it just not that he's nice and has a cool name and has caught him a couple times? Right? Mm-hmm. So he's second after day one of the title, 63 pounds. Mm-hmm. As far as I can recall looking through, he's the only guy in the field who fished both the Bassmaster Classic and the title. Because remember, he won an Open last year and made the 2020 Bassmaster Classic this past year on Gunnersville. So he's fished that. So I went back and I looked at his last 8 tournaments, right? So he wins on Oneida on Bass, and then he fishes at Gunnersville. So he cashes checks at 34,400, then a top 20 in the Classic, and then he goes over to FLW, and he finishes third in the Angler of the Year standings, and he cashes at least a $10,000 check in all 6 tournaments. So that's 8 tournaments in a row with at least a $10,000 check. He's going to get at least a $10,000 check in this tournament. So Gray Buck's last 9 tournaments between Bass and FLW, he's qualified for the Classic, he's qualified for the title. He was a top 20 in the Classic, top 3 in the FLW Pro Circuit Angler of the Year standing, second after day one, 9 consecutive checks of at least $10,000. And between all of that, roughly $150,000 in earnings in less than a calendar year. Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, very good stuff. Speaking of performing well, our first guest, we're going to have him on here in a few minutes after we take a break. But his last 4 tournaments, dude, 13th, 18th, 25th, 21st.
Yeah, Austin Felix, he's one of those Minnesota guys. We talk about how the guys up north tend to excel up north, and to put yourself in a position for an Angler of the Year, you have to catch him up north now, and he catches him up north. Always has, probably always will.
Yeah. Once again, I'm really intrigued with what's going to happen in the fall with a lot of these guys from the up north. Are they going to be able to adapt to the toughness of what fall fishing is all about?
Santee Cooper in October or September?
Well, Gunnersville in September, I think.
Yeah, Gunnersville, Santee, you've got a bunch of these crazy places that no one's been to. Like I said, some of these northern guys, they're going to put them on that. They're going to be like, I'm on the surface of the moon.
I don't know about that. So we'll get Austin's take on that. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Austin Felix here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
AFCO's new Yuri performance shirts are made out of a new fabric. Aeromesh technology, Aeromesh fabric, really breathable. You know, it just doesn't stick to you whenever you're sweating. It's 105 in Florida. You know, you got sun beating down, there's hardly any wind. You know, your shirt won't stick to your back or anything like that. Any little breeze gets through it, and all the AFCO features that you like with the hood, not without a hood, depending on which one you like. It's got odor technology, so your pits don't stink whenever you're sweating. It has thumb loops. So whenever you're driving down the lake, 70 miles an hour on a bass boat, you got the thumbs through here, sleeves won't roll up, so you have no excuse if you get sunburned. Any little breath of air gets through you and cools you down, so make sure you check them out. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered. Professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, I mean, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Lew's doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday and ready to go to our special guest.
Well, before we do that, I got to give a... So you rerun the commercials, right?
Yeah.
I'll give a little behind the scenes here. Familiar with the Jason Christie one?
Yeah.
If you listen on iTunes, you hear it. It's the one where he's like, you don't care about gear ratio and 6.8 and all that. A little behind the scenes on that one. So I was talking to Jason one time, and he was telling me about that commercial. If you watch it at the end, he casts a pop bar up there. He twitches it twice, and like a 4-pounder eats it.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a shot, right? Mm-hmm. You know the behind-the-scenes story on this?
I don't.
So he's out there filming with the guys trying to do the commercial. And the guy gets out on the bank, and he's like, I want to get you casting to the bank, right? And he's like, we'll get you, casted and working your bait. And he's like, just go ahead and have a big one eat it, too. And Jason goes, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I could just catch it on command. So the guy gets out, and he gets behind the log. Yeah. Very first cast, he casts up there, twitches it twice, and a 5-pounder eats it. That's how they got the shot.
Wow.
He said it was a 1 in a million shot. Now, the second one, I don't know if I let the cat out of the bag on this, the Mike McClellan, where he's talking about the Spro.
Yeah.
Can I tell this? Can I tell this one?
Yeah, off the lay down.
So,
No. Was it one take?
It was one take.
And no multiple casts to this?
No multiple casts.
Okay.
So we're up at Writers Conference up at Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
And I was shooting, I put that commercial together with all the, you put the commercial together anyway. So I said, I wanted this shot where Mike was talking about how it's designed by the pros, and I want him to cast this rock crawler down there, down the lay down, right? Mm-hmm. So he does it one take, he flicks the rock crawler out, and he goes, and one got it right there. There's a reason why you don't see that fish landed. It was about a 6-pound channel cat. But
yeah.
But that was 100% legit. So that's how those two shots went down in the commercial. So maybe now the next time we run that series, you have a little bit of behind the scenes.
No, it's pretty
Now we
cool.
did catch a bunch of bass on it afterwards, but man, I mean that channel cat had that thing choked. Although I mean I don't know
He
how
was battling it, man.
It was a big one.
All right, let's bring in our next guest. Welcome to the show, Austin Felix. Austin, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys? First time
Doing-
caller, long time listener.
First time, long time.
Yeah. Let's
That's
say you were featured on the College Bass Zone back in, we were talking about this during the break in like 2014, 2015, when you were dominating with the Minnesota Gophers, fishing all the national championships, and we kind of did a behind the scenes series that we ran on the College Bass Zone that is no longer with us.
Yeah, I still text Dave Rush every once in a while and stay in touch.
Yeah, he just asked you if you're catching them for fantasy fishing. Don't lie.
Probably. I guess he doesn't really know why yet.
All right, man. A lot of things to talk about, but one of the things, and part of the reason why we wanted to get you on the show, was we had Randy Blockett on yesterday, and he gave his thoughts on what technology means in tournament bass fishing today. And you were very professional in some of the posts that you made on Randy's Facebook page concerning the video that he threw out there. Yesterday, Randy, as I mentioned, came on the show and gave his premise. So I thought it would be cool to get you on and kind of talk about the other side of the discussion and get your take to the fans on what your feeling is about electronics in professional tournament fishing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't have a entire coherent argument here set up or anything. It was just I looked at the video once when I think it was one of our practice days in the evening and wrote something out, a little deal on Facebook, and it kind of snowballed from there. I like Randy. We've run in a lot of the same circles. I consider him a friend and a smart guy. It just, I don't know, the idea of trying to limit or hinder technology in our sport doesn't seem plausible, and it doesn't seem like something that really makes sense when I started to think about it at all.
I'll read it. I'll read what you posted. It's a good post. It's just, you said, the future isn't going to wait for you, Randy. Learn and adapt or get left behind. We all know you have connections and the ability to put as much new technology on your boat as you'd like. If you choose not to, that's your choice. But this is what I thought was interesting about it. He said, you can't put Pandora back in the box and go back to bank beating no matter how much you want to. So basically, it's you're talking about the natural progression.
Right. And people think that by buying 4 or 5 electronics, they automatically show you where the fish are, show you how to catch them, and it's not the case at all. It is a tool just like anything else. And while I could see how eliminating certain electronics could change the way our tournament circuits and our anglers perform, limiting graphs from 4 to 2, the difference would be nominal. Growing up, most guys start with 1 graph, start with 2 graphs. I can do everything I can do with the 4 Lowrances I have on my boat with just 1 or 2. It's just strictly an efficiency deal. And at the level Randy and myself are at, efficiency is one of the most important things you have on the water, because this is a job for us. This is a career. So every wasted second means you might not figure something out. You might not get that extra cast. You might not catch that extra fish. The argument, I think, just falls apart when you start thinking about it. As far as this barrier to entry, how much it costs to get these graphs nowadays, there's no way around it that they are expensive. But with so many different avenues to get into our sport, between federation, high school, college, by the time you're at the point where you want to go professional, there's almost no way that you haven't come across a connection of some sort to affordably get yourself all the electronics you probably need, whether it's like the Federation, I know once you make the championships, they give you a coupon where you get like half off electronics up to a certain number. Their college fishing, Lawrence, I know, was giving deals to kids. They were giving away units to kids, stuff like that. And these are free tournament circuits. Kids largely don't have to pay a lot except for maybe the travel expenses in my case. But I just don't see electronics being a mitigating factor to people being able to compete in tournament fishing, especially at the higher levels.
Austin, you're well over $300,000 in career earnings. You mentioned that you started in college. I mean, is it a deal where you've always, since you started fishing, had the latest and greatest graphs? Have you always had 48 inches and 4 graphs, or is it something that has kind of evolved? I kind of look at it like, I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys who are dirt track racing. You don't have the NASCAR technology, but you're not saying, hey, don't allow the NASCAR technology because the dirt track guys can't afford it. It seems like what you're saying is that you start with what you can afford and what you can do, and then you work your way up, and then opportunities present itself to where when you get to the top level, you can afford the 4 12-inch graphs on your boat. But what did you start out with, and kind of how did your progression of technology go?
I started out with 2 332C Lawrences on a 199 Champion 198 Elite. They're just little 5-inch graphs. They were color graphs. That was about it. When I won the college national championship, I had an 8-inch Lawrence. Not the touch. What were the ones before the touch screen? I had an 8-inch up front and
the Gen 1s.
Yeah, the big square. I had a big square 10-incher on the back. So
it's a 113. That's the one that I still have, man.
Is that the one that's under the table
I think
right there? Should I go get that and see if
no,
that's
it's
the
not
one?
in there. It's just the box because
okay.
I've got it on the retirement boat.
Oh, I thought that was from like the early 90s. So you didn't start, yeah.
But I tell people this story a lot. The college national championship, we were allowed 1 day to practice on a brand new lake. So, I mean, it's nominal. It's next to nothing. So I called Kevin Hunt before that tournament and said, well, when does our 1 day start? And I'm like, can I be out there at midnight, essentially? Start graphing at midnight. And he said, I was allowed to do that as long as I came in for their practice meeting at 7 a.m. So I got out there at midnight in the dark. My tournament partner, Chris Bergen, took the comforter off of his hotel bed and brought it into the boat with him and was laying underneath in the dark, laying underneath his comforter, half asleep, while I graphed most of the night and just marked fish, marked brush piles, marked any oddity I thought might hold bass. And when we came back in for that 7 a.m. meeting for practice, officially starting, when we took off, I just started running back to these waypoints and immediately started catching fish. But it wasn't that I had the greatest electronics at that point, because as far as I know, HDS touches were already out at that point, stuff like that. It was the technique that I chose to employ and the time I chose to put in front of these electronics. I could have just as easily flipped down the bank, punched milfoil for 6-8 hours, done any number of things to try to find fish. But that's the way I feel comfortable. That's the way I feel like I have an advantage. And so that's what I chose to do. And I feel like that's what Randy and a lot of people don't consider. It's that we're not, as professional anglers, we're not trying to level the playing field. I'm trying to get every little advantage out of my boat and out of my setup and out of my equipment that I can to be successful. And by limiting electronics, it would make things more difficult for me. But I don't feel like specifically it would help anybody else or help the shallow guys more. They're still going to have to do what they have to do.
One of the things Randy talked about, and he said it a couple times in the video and on our show yesterday.
Are you going shallow?
No. I'm going. Was he talks about the magic and the mystery of fishing?
Yeah.
And that he felt like the advanced electronics took that magic and mystery out. Now you're an electronics guy. You fished offshore, and my question to you is: do you feel like your day is less magical because you're staring at a graph as opposed to a stump, a milfoil patch? Do you feel like the technology and it's a discussion of experience or of your experience as opposed to results, like the quality of your experience as opposed to your results? Do you feel like you are less in touch? And I'm not saying this facetiously at all, like less in touch with nature, less outdoors, less of a natural immersion in the outdoors because of electronics, or does that just not hold any water to you at all?
I fish hundreds of days a year, and I totally understand getting out there freaking dawn of the morning, and actually a quote from Ron Nelson from Chickamauga last year, dancing to the rhythm of the lake. But when I'm in a tournament, that's the last thing I'm thinking about. I got plenty of free time to fish if I want to go out and throw something that makes me feel more connected to nature. When I am fishing for $100,000, it's a day at work. It's not a day to essentially, I'm not out there to enjoy myself. I'm out there to be efficient and to get things done and to find as much fish as I can. And I have the ability to separate the two. I understand his argument, but it was just, when you get to this level, it's more about the guys that win have that next gear, that step on your throat mentality. It's not I'm out here to watch butterflies and have a good time.
All right. One of the comments, Austin, that Randy said yesterday is if the deep guys have the advantage, the shallow guys need to have an advantage.
Being able to get out, push their boat across stuff, chainsaw, winch stuff over.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Matt made some great points yesterday when I was listening about just the safety issue of one. Yeah. And when you start talking about modifying banks, modifying the water, modifying what you can get into, my only argument to that, okay, you can chainsaw something out to get into it. Does that mean I can walk over and chainsaw a bunch of trees down in your way?
I
mean, what?
Yeah, no,
that exists. It's called steel timber sports.
Right.
That's a great point.
Like, you could just as easily drop, or is it something where there's fish back in a creek and you don't want people in there, you just drop a bunch of trees, and the day before the tournament you cut them all out, and then you got to essentially do yourself.
Build rock piles to keep people in there. Yeah.
Defensive fishing, right?
Mm-hmm. As far as, I feel like if you can get into a spot by pushing, I really don't have an issue with that. But like, they have the ability to modify their boats the way they are. Randy's aluminum Ranger can definitely get into a lot of stuff that my Phoenix can't, the way it is, and that's part of the advantage right there. He was talking about getting out of your boat and stuff. I think that's unnecessary, and that's kind of a slippery slope. Are you allowed to walk over an embankment and cast into somebody's private pond? Are you allowed to do stuff like that? It's hard to regulate, and it would cause a lot more bureaucracy, stuff like that, where I think it's a lot easier to govern if you just make black and white rules, such as, hey, if you can't get into it without getting out of your boat, you're not allowed. Just no modifying shoreline, that kind of thing.
All right. Good stuff, man. Really appreciate your thoughts on the whole electronic thing. I want to get into your season so far this year. Kind of had a very subpar performance on the SJR, and then you go 21st, 25th, 18th, and then 13th this past week, man. How would you sum up your year so far?
With the exception of St. John's, I would say solid. I'm actually a little disappointed with the last 4 events just because I seem to have one really good day and then kind of stumble the second day, make into the third day cut, and usually I catch them good the third day. It's just if there was a way I could catch them all 3 days, I should have had 2 or 3 top 10s already and be higher up in Angler of the Year.
Did you try, I mean, when you went into this swing, obviously there were 3 back-to-back in New York, but he ended up with 3 wheelhouse tournaments for you, I guess, with the St. Lawrence, Champlain, and St. Clair being from Minnesota, the way you like to fish. Was it in the back of your mind, dude, I've got to sack him up in these 3 tournaments because the next 3 after this are going to be a grind, or do you just take it one at a time?
No, absolutely. I thought I had to get as much of a cushion as I possibly could. Having fished the Forest Wood Cup the last 3 in a row, I understand how stingy late summertime south fishing is, 10, 12 pounds a day. I've been through it, so I understand how difficult it can be, but I also don't have a lot of experience on the lakes we're going to. I've been to Guntersville once or twice. I've had minimal success there. And when you're going up against Elite Series guys that have spent years on that lake, it's going to be an uphill battle. That, Santee Cooper, I don't think anybody has the slightest idea what's going to happen in that lake. And it very well could come out that people double zero just because it can be that stingy. And then Chickamauga in the fall, it's relatively straightforward. It's just this year everything has gotten so much pressure that fishing has definitely gotten a lot more difficult. You saw it up north even when fish were biting, that it's a lot more difficult. They're a lot more educated, and it's not going to be an easy run for any of us.
Do you think electronics will not play as big of a role in the remainder of the season as they have in the first half of the season? Will it be more mapping instead of anything else?
Absolutely. I put my Lowrance live sight, and I actually put a 3rd graph on the front of my boat before I headed up north, just so I had a unit specifically for that front mount transducer. And more than likely, I'm going to take off that 3rd unit anyways, and if I need to use it, I'll just run it through one of the other 2. It tends to hang up a ton of grass, and it just becomes a hassle when you're fishing shallower a lot of times. So we'll see. It's definitely going to require a lot more fishing to find fish as opposed to idling around, something I kind of like to do.
All right, for those people that may not know, from a research standpoint, do you do a lot of homework? Are you going to spend a lot of time trying to do research because it is kind of a strange time that you guys are visiting these bodies of water? Is that kind of what you do to prep for these upcoming events, Austin?
Yeah. Look at past results, look at YouTube. I mean, there's not, like I said, I couldn't really find anything on Santee. I don't think anybody has that. There's a little bit of fall, I guess there's quite a bit of fall Guntersville stuff, whether it's frog fishing and top water and flipping, that kind of deal. And then Chickamauga, I haven't found that much either, but I'll continue to look. I kind of just punch in whatever month it is and whatever lake I'm going to on YouTube and on Google and see what pops up and see what kind of little nuggets I can find info.
Nuggets.
Have you ever actually watched a YouTube channel of someone just randomly fishing on a body of water? I do that too, and it'll be here's Joe in a kayak throwing a buzzbait down the bank on a lake that I've got a tournament coming up on. Not a tournament pro, not telling anyone how to do it, just went out and filmed his day. Have you ever found one of those random videos with 100 views that actually cued you into something that helped you?
I can't think of anything specifically that cued me in or was like, well, that's got me dialed, but I have watched plenty of that stuff with where it's just, a guy throwing a white spinner bait at a cypress tree or something.
Okay.
And just go down, figure out kind of, I just fast forward through them, see where they catch fish to kind of have an idea of like what the fish were keying on, if I can figure it out. I don't know.
I asked that because here's what I do 90% of the time. I will watch those, then I will go to the lake with my electronics, with my fancy boat, with my tournament plan. I will not catch them, and then I will remember that Joe just put his kayak in off the highway and had 18 pounds and put it on YouTube, and I just ran 180 gallons of gas out, and he caught more out of his kayak in one day.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it usually works for me.
You can't find those nuggets, huh?
No, I'm not a very good nugget
Yeah.
nugget finder. But every once in a while you find one of the videos that's like really good. Okay, I'll give you an example. I found a video and I had to go fish a blueback herring lake a couple years ago. And I'm doing research on blueback herring out the wazoo. I'm learning their saltwater life cycle. I'm learning all this stuff. And I come across a Michael Murphy 1.5-hour symposium that included slideshows and everything on the life cycle, spotting, pattern, fall, winter, transition, how they swim, why they swim, and where they swim in freshwater lakes. And it didn't have that many views. It had like 2,000 views on it at the time. And I watched that thing like 7 freaking times. And that literally helped cue me in.
Yeah.
Full of nuggets.
Yeah, that's a nugget.
Yep. All right, Austin, man, what are you going to do until the next event? You going to try and catch up? I know you've been on the road a long time.
Yeah, I left before St. Lawrence and didn't come back until got home 2 days ago. So I'm going to relax another day or two, and then I'll probably get the itch to start fishing again, head up to Mille Lacs and mess around with those fish, maybe come out to Minnetonka. I don't know if we got any real tournaments going on right now that are worth jumping into, but other than that, I'll just hang out with the family and wait for Gunnersville. Probably going to head down a couple days early, hang out with a buddy of mine, and fish Pickwick just to kind of get back in the feel of the whole Tennessee River Fall deal, and then slide on over.
All right, man. Sounds good. Well, I greatly appreciate you coming on the show, giving your take on the whole electronics discussion, and hopefully we can have you on soon, man. Good luck to you for the remainder of the Elite Series.
I appreciate it, Mark.
All right, man. Take care, man.
We'll see you guys.
All right. There you have it. Austin Felix. And pretty good take, man.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people on the instant feedback and on the comments, they see both sides. Let me ask you this, man. All right. I have a nugget in my wallet right now.
Wait.
All right. It is the school credit card. That's a pretty good nugget. All right, because I have to go buy a 75-inch flat screen TV as soon as the show's over. I can buy a 75-inch flat screen TV for $800. Why is it that a 12-inch screen costs $3,000?
Well, because that flat screen can't tell you what's 18 feet below the house.
I get it, but does the technology
and if you
cost
sat there
that much?
and shook that flat screen for an hour and a half, I guarantee you it wouldn't turn on. If you put that flat screen out in the rain, it wouldn't turn on.
Yeah.
And if you hit that flat screen with a spinner bait at 70 miles an hour, it wouldn't turn on.
I get it. The point I'm trying to make, I totally understand what you're saying. The point I'm trying to make is, 2 years ago, that 75-inch flat screen TV was $4,000.
Right.
Now it's $800. We haven't seen that lowering of the price, and you know why?
Because people are still paying for
exactly,
it. It's the
because
same
of demand.
reason. It's the same reason why nothing changed in fishing for 10 years. People complained about it, but they still paid their entry fees. They still fished the tournaments, right?
Yeah.
People are complaining about the cost, but they're still paying it. They're still putting it on their boats. It's the same reason, an iPhone costs $1,100 or $1,200. But you can just add it to your payment plan and another $20 a month, and now you got the 10. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's when they stop selling them, the prices will go down. But I don't think people. I think it's easy to overlook. Well, why is this thing so expensive? Look what I can get. But like that HDS Live that I've got in the console. Yeah. I mean, dude, guys were running to St. Clair in 6-footers last week in that thing, and that thing still works, and it's their only lifeline, and it's GPS, and it's got all these different features on it. And,
I get it. Hey, I mean, as long as the demand is there, the prices are going to remain the same. Agreed? I agree. And you look at the color and the advances in technology. I mean, that stuff isn't cheap to come up with. It's not like you just build the screen and you got crystal clear side imaging, down imaging, and all that. I'm with you, man.
I mean, you're paying for technology, too.
I get it. And people are buying them, and they're going to continue to buy them. Agreed? Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Ron Nelson. Everybody stay tuned here on a Tuesday.
Ducket Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Ducket Fishing, pro-driven.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Hey everybody, Tide Fair Cloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get,
it's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back. It is time to go to our second guest here on a Tuesday, and got a day off.
He's got to move up 2 spots. He's currently in 12th after day 1 of the FLW title. They're doing it BPT style, so there's 50 in it, 25 fish yesterday, 25 fish today. Then you get your top weights after the top 10. Ron will not win the round tomorrow, most likely, because Kurt Mitchell has 119 pounds, 10 ounces, and Ron has 24 pounds, 11 ounces. That's the bad news. The good news is Ron has the Angler of the Year title, and he's only like 2 pounds out of the top 10. So he's one of those guys that's going to be scratching and clawing for every sturgeon-based smallmouth that he can get his hands on tomorrow to move into the semifinal.
All right, let's bring him in. Ron, you there, man?
Yes, I am. Good morning, guys.
Hey, thanks for taking time out. Do you like this day off thing?
Loving it. I'm sitting here in the boat, got stuff free-tied. I got Scott Dawson next to me, and we're at the Cherry Hill Golf Course Resort, just relaxing, beautiful sunny day. Wish we were fishing, but it's nice to have time to get the boat cleaned up, tackle retied, and the mind reset for tomorrow.
All right, give us just some thoughts on your first day. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it was awful. it was a real grinder. I mean, a lot of fish just did not want to commit to the baits. You know, I rotated through a bunch of different baits, and you could see them chase the bait down, look at it, and then swim off. You know, and it's like you had to be on a group of fish that were more competitive for the bait. And once you found a group of fish, you could get those bites, you know, pretty quick. And I say pretty quick, but I caught, I think, my first 3 pretty quick, as far as close together. And then the last little flurry had the same thing. I caught the last 3 or 4 fish time-wise pretty close together. So if you find a group of them that are competitive, you can give them a bite. If not, they seem to be really picky to get the bite for some reason.
Ron, being from Michigan, you had to be pumped to have a smallmouth tournament for your championship event, and feel pretty confident coming into this week. That, I mean, I know you're sitting next to Scott Dobson, who's caught a smallmouth or 2 in his day, but feel pretty confident that you had a pretty good beat on how to get this thing done.
Yes and no. I mean, it's not far from my home, but at the same time, I've got no history on this body of water. And so, you know, the biggest thing is, like you saw yesterday, you know, and congrats to, you know, Kurt Mitchell. He smashed him yesterday, which was awesome, is you got to land on him, you know, and the guy who lands on him, I don't care if you're a smallmouth guy or not, you're going to catch him. And so, you know, the conditions have been pretty stable, and hopefully we get some weather changes. And if you get some weather changes, it'll make the fish really shift and move, and you know, guys who caught them one day won't catch them all the next day. So, but the weather kind of stays the same and kind of constant. The guys will catch them consistently in the same areas. So, you know, I'm just glad to be here. It's a blessing to make the championship title event, and you know, it's exciting.
I want to go back to Lake Erie, the final super tournament of the year. You go in there, and really you had a stranglehold on the title, the AOY. Angler of the Year title there. And if I remember right, I'm watching the coverage and I'm seeing Rod Nelson only has 2 fish, and the guys that are behind him, Sheffield, those guys are catching them. And then you come in with 4 fish for 15-2 on day 1. Was that a deal for you where it kind of happened late and you actually just made some really critical decisions late in the day to just salt the Angler of the Year away on a day that you could have left the door open?
Yeah, I got to correct you a little bit. I think I had 1 fish in the box, actually, you know, for most of the day. I want to say it was like noon or 12:30, or it was late in the day. I was probably 50, 60 miles from check-in at that point still. And just I caught my first fish fast and easy in the first 5 minutes, and the same thing. Those fish just wouldn't commit to the bait, and I stayed at that area for a long time, left it, went got gas, and came back out to the area and caught 2 real quick, and then went to a largemouth spot and caught a 4-pounder, and you know, and missed 2 good bites that were my fault. And just, it was a tough deal. I mean, I had to keep my composure when you have 1 fish in the box, and obviously a lot in the line when it comes to AOY. You can't come in with one fish and expect to survive on Lake Erie. So once I got that fourth fish, it was a great feeling.
Really, Mark, if you look at Ron's stats, and I know we when we had him on the first time in the show, I kind of went over this, but and Ron, your hallmark is consistency. Obviously, your second year fishing the pro circuit, but you look at the Toyota Series, formerly the Costa Series. You fish a lot of the southeastern and northern divisions. You basically between the two fished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 12 years between the two, 12 or 13, and every single time you have top 35 finishes in the Angler of the Year. Take that 135th out in 2014 on the Southeast. Every single time you have fished that division, you are in the top 15 in the Angler of the Year. You were 9th last year in the Angler of the Year on the pro circuit. What is it that allows you to be so consistent across so many fisheries, diverse fisheries over such a long period of time?
No clue. Just I love to fish, and feel blessed to have a passion in life that I really enjoy. So I feel blessed to have this passion of fishing, and I continue to hopefully still learn and become a better angler as time goes on. I still make a lot of mistakes, and it's a sport you never quit learning. So it's exciting to always get back out and solve new mysteries out there.
Dude, you got to have something. There's a lot. You can't say no clue. I just read off your stat. Do you have a pattern that you employ across like a cast where you say, this is my strategy for each event? I mean, you don't just go out there and just happen to finish in the top 15 at every single event like that. Is there something?
Yeah, I think it's just prayer. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe that the Lord provides what you need, not what you want always. And, I think if it's any sport, if you really truly love it, you'll become good at some point, if you put a lot of time into it. And so I don't really self-reflect to see my strategy. Why? It's just, it's hard work and determination to solve the puzzle. For every lake, it's just different. And as a lake changes, like this lake, for example, it's a big body of water. And as the conditions change, the lake will really change. And so, you've got to just work hard and put the puzzle together. And eventually when it comes together, it comes together.
All right, Ron, I have two questions, and then I know you're kind of short on time, and then we'll let you go. I'm curious, with the AOY, what do you consider your strengths from a tournament standpoint, and what is one thing that during the off season, once you sit back and you analyze what happened, what is one thing that you need to work on?
I didn't catch that last question. My phone cut out. What's that?
Yeah, what is one thing that you need to work on during the off season that you feel that you really need to improve in your game? And then the first question was, what really do you consider your strengths?
I always consider myself more of a largemouth guy than I do a smallmouth guy. I really, truly enjoy sight fishing, and I really, truly enjoy fishing the heavy cover, punching and flipping. So that's, if you look at my northern history, I think I finished in the top 9 every year in AOY stands in the Northern Series. That's just my natural, biggest element. And so when you put me in the Southeast Division, I, didn't finish as high, and just because I had more learning to do, more growing to do. And so I really enjoy, fishing that heavy cover, the big line, the big rod, the big weight. That's just a blast. But I also enjoy fishing the light line and sight fishing. So that's my two main, strongholds. But anyone, these days loves to pull up the graphs and dial them in and go to a ledge and sit in one spot, and catch a bunch of fish too. So that's always a blast. As far as, this off season, like always, it's just you need to spend more time on tackle prep and getting things organized. And, I tend to not put a lot of time into fishing yet. And so hopefully as my career goes on, I can focus more on fishing and pick up some sponsorship to help along the way and allow me to have more time to actually focus on fishing.
All right, man. The resume is building up, Matthew.
Well, the resume is already built if you look at it. But what did it feel like to actually get your hands on that trophy? You obviously had a big lead going into it. People were asking you about it. You knew it was a likelihood, not a certainty. But when they handed it to you on stage there, just kind of walk us through what it was like to know that you were number one in probably the craziest year we've ever seen in professional bass fishing.
Yeah, I'll start right off the get-go and say, it's been the craziest year from an angler standpoint. Obviously the country, we face a lot of different challenges with the the virus and some issues in this country. But from an angler standpoint, we had such a change in scheduling events that you just never knew quite sure what you were going to fish next, because of the COVID. And so that was just hard to keep the mind just not worried about it. Just, once we get to an event, then I got excited about it because you just never knew they were going to change the schedule and move it somewhere else. And so that was, it made a really challenging year for every angler out this year. And so, it really hit home. I probably did my boat check on the second day because once I knew I had it wrapped up on the second day when I paid that 19 pounds pretty easy. But, you never know you have it wrapped up until you actually check in because you just never know a mechanical issue or something could keep you out in the middle of the lake. Lake Erie's a big lake.
One more thing.
So,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So just, when I get that guy my boat check number, that was like the best feeling of the year. It's just like, you worked hard. You finally, take that deep breath because, Miles Berghoff, he had a great league last year. He worked hard. And I thought he was going to walk away with, the rookie of the year, ending of the year. And then all of a sudden, you hit a hard spot in the road and it just takes your season downhill. So even towards the end, I just never got ahead of myself, knowing that, it's fishing. It's a very humbling sport. And so you've got to just work hard and wait till it's all said and done to actually think about it.
We like to talk about meltdowns on this show. And I've been hearing you talk. Jeffrey's just had a meltdown at the bowling alley, cost him $100. I have a meltdown on a weekly basis during the Wednesday night jackpots. Hearing you talk, listening to your strategy, have you ever had a meltdown on the water? It seems like you're just cool, calm, collected, go about your business, and that nothing really gets to you.
Yeah, I had a meltdown probably last year on my very first day on the FLW tour. It's my very first tour event. I just had a mechanical issue, and I let things get ahead of me. And I didn't have a meltdown, but I didn't stay true to myself, and and so that's I usually don't do that very often. I usually keep pretty level-headed and just know the goal, the task ahead of myself, and keep focused. Even yesterday, I knew it would be. It was probably my worst practice I've had all year by far, as far as knowing I found something special, and so. I was determined, the same thing. I pretty much knew if you caught 12 to 15 fish yesterday, you'd be in great shape. And I think I had 8 fish, and I knew, I was like, man, I need 10 or 12 fish. I knew what I needed to do, and I just kept working hard at it and just never quite got there. But the biggest thing is just hard work. You got to just be mentally focused and just never quit grinding it out.
All right, very cool, man. Ron, we greatly appreciate you taking time out on your day off there. And believe me, performance-wise, the sponsors are going to come, man. And just an outstanding 2 years on the FLW Tour. And look forward to having you on the show in the future.
Yeah, guys, it's been an honor. I appreciate your time as well. And, I love to talk fishing. Anytime you guys want to call me up, I'm glad to be a part of the show.
All right, very cool, man. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see you.
Take care.
All right, there you have it, Ron Nelson. And, okay, tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't he go Rookie of the Year, Angler of the Year?
I believe so, yeah. He finished 9th in the Angler of the Year standings last year.
Yeah, I think I'm right on that. All right, one other thing I want to...
He got a jersey this year.
Do what?
He got a jersey this year.
What do you mean?
He's got a jersey with sponsors on it. Remember last year when we had him on, he did have the jersey with the sponsors.
Yeah.
He's moving on up.
That's what happens when you catch him, man.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and should, rightfully so, based upon his performance, pick up a few more sponsors.
What do you think in the year that we've had, the BPT AOY, the FLW Pro Circuit AOY, and the Elite Series Angler of the Year, more opportunity, less opportunity, equal than a standard everything goes off without a hitch 2017, 18, 19 season? Where do the champions this year kind of fall as far as their ability to take advantage of their accomplishments?
It's funny you bring that up because I can take two things from that. One, I think nothing has changed when you have back-to-back tournaments. The guy that wins the first tournament kind of misses out. You agree with that?
Yes.
All right. The focus seems to be on the guy that wins the second of the back-to-back. The other thing is, and honestly, I kind of feel sorry for him, is Hank Cherry. The fact that he won the Bassmaster Classic and you had all this stuff taking place and he couldn't really travel and all of that epic promotion that takes place immediately following the Classic, He just wasn't able to do it.
Because literally everything shut down a week after the Bassmaster Classic. If we had the Bassmaster Classic scheduled for a week later, there would not have been a Bassmaster Classic.
I agree. And I truly believe that those two entities, I mean, Hank Cherry winning the Bassmaster Classic and the first leg of the back-to-back guys are really kind of missing out. Now, having said that, I still think the exposure that has been given from the television time, because there was nothing else on television, it's going to be interesting to see, and you and I talked about this off air yesterday, it's going to be interesting to see what the ratings are like, because you had a lot going on this past weekend. You had the Indy 500, you had the NBA playoffs, you had golf, right? So you had some more activity taking place on the television. Plus, in certain pockets of the country, you had a few more opportunities for people to go do things.
Right.
Movie theaters opened up in certain areas of the country. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the numbers play out.
What about a Jordan Lee, who in a 5-event BPT schedule wins
that's
the
another
Angler
one.
of the Year, and and you know, that last event took place a while ago. Do you think there's still those opportunities you can get to go and cash in on that, or is that? I mean, I think he suffered a little bit too.
No, that's a great point
because of everything that went down and how they had to get it through.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So, just a very, very unique year. Nobody's going to argue with that, and it's very unfortunate. But at the same time, I think we've seen a few individuals like Ron Nelson, kind of rise up and really become stars and put themselves at the forefront of what they're trying to accomplish from a career standpoint.
Absolutely.
Agree?
Yep.
All right, man. Tomorrow, very excited. Our monthly jaunt with the Sunline Hotline show. And you're going to give some stuff away, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to get it in stock first. That's why I went and bought a pack of the BTL BFEs yesterday, because I didn't have them in person. But they are on the way. I have made contact.
All right, so we'll give away some BFEs.
I should have made sure to tell them that they send the ones in the packs. You might get a handful of BFEs.
In a little Ziploc bag?
In a Ziploc baggie.
Oh, come on, man. We can't do that. We can't do that at all.
We'll get it right.
All right, so tomorrow, Sunline Hotline show. Want to hear from you. Please give us a call. Talk about anything you want. And we will talk about these crazy, crazy times that are taking place in our great nation and in the bass fishing world. I also want to touch tomorrow just a jaunt back on virtual iCast. I had a thought about that because I was talking to somebody that was involved in that, the aftermath
of the virtual iCast.
I'm
interested if anybody's got, I throw a bunch of different buzz baits, right?
Yeah.
The toader, all the different, big bite one that clicks, and this one. Call in if you've got little buzz bait secrets. Because that's going to be big this year. I've been saying that.
Help
I've
him out.
got 11 tournaments coming up now through November.
Yes.
I got Floyd's buzzer back there, the Lunker Lures, the Beg. I mean, I'm a buzzbait junkie on that, but I'm always, that one. It's like, when you make the cast, you make 3 turns of it, and you just go, that's the one. Or you have one that everyone says, and you throw it, and you're like, You can't even describe, you know what I'm saying? It's that noise. You can't describe it. It's the mixture of the churn, the squeak, the clack, the resistance, how it runs.
I get it, man.
And you make one cast, and then every time it gets bit, you're like, please don't be messed up. Please don't be please don't be messed up.
I get it. Hey, Kevin in Illinois, it's going to be a while before I get to Lake X. Probably won't be visiting Lake X until maybe October.
Oh, you've got a new bait to use on Lake X.
I do.
It's coming. You don't have it yet.
Oh, I do?
Yeah, you do.
Well, I have the BFE and BTL.
No.
Something else?
Yeah.
All right. Tomorrow, Sunline Hotline.
Functional.
I like it. All right. Tomorrow, Sunline Hotline show. Please join us. Same time. I want to thank Austin Felix and Ron Nelson for being on the show today. That's it. Everybody be safe. We're out of here.